State policing question, which is being talked about time and again, but this time here on Sunrise Daily. Well, we're joined now by Kayode Ajulo. He's a legal practitioner. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Good morning.
Before we even delve into this, give us your thoughts on this Adamawa governorship elections just concluded over the weekend.
Well, the only way I would just put it is this: that the opposition, that's the other party, they won the election. But unfortunately, the governor, that's the PDP, they have they have the seat. Why I'm saying this is this: by the time you looked at the aggregate of the vote casted in that election, you find out that if you combine the CPC and the ACN votes together, you find out what really happened. But that is why this is what we have been saying for long, that the issue of the opposition, particularly, they are the one causing this thing. Like for example, if you looked at the issue of Abiola did not come like a stand or like a mistake. That's why you find out that we have only two-party system, where is either you are here or you are there, and that is why we can see that Abiola finally. And that is what we have been saying for long, that the opposition, they need to come together if actually they wanted to get this thing right. Okay. And one thing we have to know is this: if anybody tell you that maybe there is rigging or anything, I don't think there's any rigging. Exactly what happened, it's what was reflected by the vote cast in that election. And so unfortunately, the PDP won again.
All right. Let's get to the state police question now, because there are those who say that the reason why they centralized the police force, it has not gone away yet. So they can't get back to state policing.
No, let us look at it very well. You know, one thing is this: if we should first look at our constitution. What type of constitution are we practicing? We are talking, our constitution talks so much about federalism. And what do we call this federalism? This is an institution where we have a component part of the country, where we come together with all the apparatus of the states, of the government. Here I'm talking of, because when you look at your constitution, you find out the state government, they are sovereign. And before you can be called a sovereign, there are some things, fundamentals you have to have for you to be so functional as a sovereign. One of it is the force of government. But unfortunately, that's why some of us always call that our constitution is more or less like a fraudulent document. In a situation that you ask that we should be operating federalism, but by practice, you find what's happening more, even less than unity system of government. And mind you, if I call you a sovereign, a chief executive officer of a state, and you cannot even control your police, then what kind of power you have? And again, let us look at how this police even come about. Police, mind you, we are not talking about military, we are talking about police. And when you looked at about several centuries ago, police, they started as a watchman. That's the man their locality to do what? Even when you looked at Section 4 of the Police Act, it's so clear of the function of police. They have only three basic functions. First, to prevent crime. And in a situation where the crime has been committed, then to investigate it, and after investigating, then you now prosecute it. And the essence of the whole thing is to ensure that they enforce law. And which law are we talking about? Now we have two types of law in Nigeria. We have the federal law, we have the state law. How manage, and that is why we have been having problem. How manage you expect a federal body to be enforcing, to be maintaining, to be preventing, investigating and prosecuting state law?
Is that what happens now?
That is what happened. Because we have law of Lagos State. And you know that who are those to investigate, to prevent, to do all those things? They are Nigerian police. And who are these police? They are from the federal. The commissioner of police, until when it's sent down, that's when the governor will know that we have a commissioner. The only thing the governor can do is to lobby, to look for a way, either through letter or everything.
How do you check its abuse? Because if at the federal level, we've seen the kind of killings that happen almost on a regular basis, we haven't seen the kinds of people who are brought to book as a result of that. So if that happens at the federal level, you can imagine what happens at the state level if you have state police.
I agree with you that actually there will be some abuse here and there. But one thing we have to be so sure about is that everything that ought to be done right must be done right. We cannot say because of some sentimental issue like the issue of this abuse, then we should not allow the right thing to be done. Like for example, we have judiciary, or each state has their own judiciary. You agree with me that we still have some abuse here and there, but there's a way to check it. The same way should be used to check if there's any abuse.
Shouldn't we have started before actually going through this? Because what Chimile just said, it reminds us of 1983 elections, and we all could also remember the role of the police. 2007 election as well, the role of the police. If we haven't been able to fix all of that and check abuses from the federal police, how then can we say we can actually stop and check such abuses when it comes to state police?
We have to know one thing. Society always evolves. There'll be a way we'll check the abuse. Let us be sincere. Now, let me just put it this way. If we are saying that because of that, we should not have the state police, that means that the only thing that we expect now is for the legality to creep in. The legality in the way that today, let us be sincere with ourselves. No state in this country that will not have one form of quasi-police forces one way or the other, which to me, when you look at it very well, they cannot really function properly because it's more or less they are doing it covertly. Like that's why you see something like a car, you see why we all those last mile, all those ones, whether we like it or not, they are form of their own state of police, and you can see that they still have the abuse, and this abuse is being contained. But just imagine a way that they can easily come out fully. They have a very clear law to back them up. Then you will find out that there will still be a way to be abused.
How can it help ultimately in crime prevention? When you say state police, what's the difference having the federal police and you say this is state police, and for instance you are in state A? Is that going to help reduce the crime rate in that particular state? And how?
Of course. Let me say that when I started talking, I mentioned one thing. I said, well, let us cast our mind back how this police force evolves. Like I said, from the research, you find that police started from the issue of night watchmen. You see those people standing on the towers trying to watch the whole thing. You must know, let me say, the policing and community policing is more or less the same thing. For you to really police, we are talking of the issue of detective, guiding intelligence and everything. You cannot expect me to bring somebody from Kano to come to Lagos, to police Lagos, and you expect police in Lagos to be so effective. Let me just put one thing. OPC in the West, they are more effective. Why? Because this is their terrain. Take OPC to Kano, to Sokoto, you will see what will happen. They'll be messed up.
No, but
take Boko Haram to Lagos, they'll be messed up. The same thing with
Is it conventional or unconventional?
Let me say, we're not unconventional. That means, of course.
But it means have got to be also put to the table.
Of course, yes. But what I'm saying is this: for you to be able to police effectively, you must be member of that society. That's why that's one thing is this. It is one thing you have to know is this. Like during the colonial time, when you have all this, all this local authority, you find out that all those that they are doing the policing, they are from the grassroots. They knew what they are doing.
Yeah, but what about now? Because all of this ethnic militia that seems to be popping up, we've seen the way how they go about what they do. But the ones that people say are succeeding, upon what facts are they predicating that on? Is it in terms of their investigative prowess or what? What are they doing? Is it by preventing crime the crude way? Correct me if I'm wrong, but how has that helped anything?
No, let me say when I mention all these ethnic militias, I'm just trying to just try to explain the issue.
Is not an ethnic militia.
Yes, sure, I know. Let me
terrorist group, so we should.
Yes, let's leave them there. But what I'm just trying to explain is that we should try to understand one thing. When we are mentioning policing, it's different from the issue of like military forces in which they are to ward off external aggression. But police, their primary job is to work internally to ensure to maintain law and order. And what we are saying is this: for the effectiveness of that concept, you need to get those within the system to get it to get it done and to get it done effectively.
But there are ways we can actually work out this present system that we have in such a way that it becomes a little more localized, and it becomes a little more effective in the states that they are. For instance, assuming the federal police recruited people that they needed right from within the community. How about that? But they still had control at the federal level.
Let me put it very well. You know one thing, most of our problem in Nigeria is that we always look for political permutation to make things work, and that is why we always run into problem. As a lawyer, one of the concepts of law is to regulate whatsoever thing you are doing, either economy, politically, whatsoever it may be. And the essence of it is to start through the law. The only way we can do this is let us first settle the aspect of the law. As I speak today, the Constitution forbids having like what you are suggesting, and that's why we believe that
the Constitution forbids recruiting men from Lagos to Lagos.
What I'm saying that the Constitution forbids local policing. That is, everything must start from whatever it is. And when you said and again, when you mention the issue of recruiting local policemen, but who are those recruiting? the federal. We should remind that the federal authority for who? For the state. The question is that what's supposed to be? That is the first basis I want us to start this issue with. Then after that, to find out is there the right practice or within, particularly when we're having a federal system of government.
Mr.
It shouldn't be.
I think the question should be, to what end are we asking for state police? Yeah. Is it to fulfill all constitutional righteousness, or is it to have a more effective police force? If it's to have a more effective police force, are you sure that we cannot work the current system that we have right now to make sure that it's a little more effective than it is currently being practiced? Are we saying that because of the structure we have right now, our police force cannot be effective? Is that what we're saying?
Let me tell you something. What I'm saying is this. First, legally, let us look at the federal legal framework. We have to get that one right first. Then another thing is to now ask one thing. We should look at one simple issue. What actually is the essence of having a federal police force overruling and overriding virtually every aspect of life in Nigeria? That's the first thing. The second thing is that can this thing achieve the effectiveness we so desired? The answer from me, Kayode Ajulo, as a lawyer and somebody that have at least seen one or two things in this country and seen that this is not the right thing, is no. The best way is first allow each state, each region to police themselves. And mind you, when we are talking of policing, administratively, supervision and everything will be done by the state. But in a situation when you are saying that the federal should be supervising what is happening
how would you want it to work? How would you want it to work? Just state police? What about the municipalities? Now we're looking at local governments. So if we have state police, should we also be thinking of having the police different for the local government as well?
Yes, of course. Let me tell you something. When we are talking of government, that's why I say let us start from this basis. When we are talking of government, there are some component parts that make a government that can enforce law and order. And to start it, we have the federal, we have the state, we have the local government as provided by our constitution. Now the issue is this: for you to make this thing effective, you need all the components that will make that government effective must be on ground. But in the situation that we have federal, state and local government, and only the states, they are the one doing the policing, they are the recruitment, the everything, send it down. There must be a problem.
Okay, but if you've been to some localities in the country, if you're talking about local government, I don't know what they call them in each state now, but when they get this uniform, they say give a man power, do you know what they can do? What they do, of course, some people know this, they just wait for you to flout, either accidentally or deliberately. Any act or attempt to see that you're flouting the law, even if you're a visitor in that place, they apprehend you. And that's one. Secondly, these guys don't even respect people's rights. We've seen the way they handle some of these people across the country at the local government level. So remember, who are the local government chairman, by the way? So are they the people you're going to hand certain authorities to? Are we asking for trouble here?
No, let me just put it this way. We made about the local government what they are today because nobody seemed to pay the necessary attention to them. That's why you find out that even some local government, they don't even have anything to do. All they are just after is with the
but they get money.
They get money. And even the government, you find out that the government, the money has been hijacked from up, down, and that is why we believe that until we allow everything to be, you know what I'm trying to say? Until we allow everything to be the way it should be, things will work in. Unfortunately,
pardon me. Which state has impeached a governor for misdemeanor? Not just for political purpose. If the House of Assembly, State House of Assembly, can't even do that, how do we expect the states or the police to even function properly?
Well, let me say, that is one of the problems we have in this country. That's what we are saying we need to come to. Because instead of talking about which state, the question is that those who are to impeach them, where are they from? How did they get to where they are?
But you know what historians say. You know what a man can do by what is done before. And with due respect to these state assemblies, they use the word that they've been pocketed by their respective governors.
Of course, that is one of the problem, and that is the problem that we believe that we have to look for a way out.
So why those problems exist? Yes, exactly. Why those problems exist? Should we be advocating a state police when we haven't sorted them out yet?
Let's put it this way. The problem exists because we refuse to do the right thing. Look, let me just put it this way. When some of us we're shouting, we are complaining about this issue of election. We did not get our election right. You get anybody, we just come, because we knew that if, for example, without anybody voting for you, I just pick you. I just sent you to the House of Assembly. You do my bidding. But in a situation where we can get the issue of the election right, you realize that, look, you are sitting where you are sitting because of over 50,000 to 100,000 people who you are answerable to. You, even when it comes to impeaching the governor, you know that you only listen to only one group.
Okay.
That means those people that put it there.
So you agree then that until we get to that stage, which seems like it's still a long way off, we're not exactly right, because what the president has said and a host of other people have said is that we're not ripe. Not that we won't do it, but we're not ripe for state policing.
Let us be sincere. Whoever that said that, I believe then that the person must be part of the problem. Let me just put it this way. If you mean that until the day we get that right, then we will now. No, let me say something. Nigerian problem is so big, so wide that you need to take it as it's coming. It's like now, okay, until you iron your cloth, that's when I will be wearing it. I'll be doing that. You can't use that for when it comes to issue of governance, particularly when it comes to issue of Nigeria. That means that okay, why don't you let us say that until we get our electoral problem right before we can even elect the president? That's exactly what the person is saying.
Mr. Ajulo, no. Can I ask you a question here? Let's look at looking at this particular situation, looking at it critically.
Yeah.
Is it right for us now to go ahead and talk about state policing? Are you giving the governors of different states an excuse not to perform under this current system? Because a governor will tell you, I'm the chief security officer of my state, but I do not have control over the police, and as such I can do nothing about security. Is that an excuse for a governor not to perform?
Let me say something. One way or the other, it is like a ready and apparent excuse for them in one way. Let me just
Is that excuse acceptable?
When it comes to issue of security, issue of policing your domain, your jurisdiction, that's a very even that is enough excuse. In what way? Let me just put it this way. This is an institution that you have a security concern. Just imagine about 2 years ago, something like that happened in Jos, when the governor of Jos of Plateau said he has been trying to call the police commissioner, everybody, also that some people were killed. And one thing after that, what the federal government will do is to declare state of emergency. No, the issue is here, we have to be sincere here. Why must you give them the excuse? The excuse here is that you did not give them the power to control their security. And for that excuse not to be there, make sure that the right thing is done by ensuring that they have state police. By having that, then I don't there will be no excuse. Like you make me the GM here, this chief security officer, I have no control over him. Even every other staff, I have no control over them. And whenever there is a security concern or security challenges, I will be the one that will bear the brunt. And whenever you ask me, why don't you do this? When I cannot even control anything. That is the biggest and the best excuse for anybody to prefer.
And it's an acceptable excuse for you?
As within the circumstances, of course. Okay. That is an acceptable excuse, because what do you expect him to do?